We're now on to part 3 of the controlled traffic section. This is the final part and probably one of the largest parts of the presentations. We're going to talk about a couple of things here. One is chasing on the run. So a lot of people have bought chaser bins now, but the problem with controlled traffic is how do I actually keep on my wheel tracks while I'm chasing? You can improve your efficiencies by around about 30% with the chaser bin, but how do I modify this for controlled traffic? We're also then going to move on to wheel track management. After this very wet season we've just had, we've seen a lot of deep wheel tracks. How do you manage those to prevent them from getting too deep? Because they can cause problems. And finally, we're going to talk about, if I don't have a guidance system, how can I still use controlled traffic to get more precision in your operations? I've got some really good photos here coming up on how you can actually improve your efficiencies with a controlled traffic system without a guidance. Chaser bins. This Finchy bin was really easy. You can see where we had the rims on the other side. Just turn the rims around, and yeah, it went straight to 3 metres. Not always the time you get that lucky. And if you do need to do modifications to the walking beam, then I suggest you get the manufacturer to do it, because you really don't want that thing to be falling over when it's full of grain. And really quite cheap to get done, actually. I've been surprised at the number of our guys that have sent stuff to Finch, for example, that have really cost-effective way of doing it. Auger extensions. This is called an extender, made in Canada. It'll put about 900, I think there's a 900 or a 1200 mil extension you can get, something like that. And the biggest selling point is this plastic chute. It's solid plastic, and it shoots the grain out quite a way. So the extension does a bit, but really it's the chute on the end that does a lot more of the work, just to get that out onto the next set of wheel tracks. Obviously it's not going to work on 12 metres, but on 9 metres that really does help. You can actually run a chaser bin nearly on 9 metres just with an auger extension. This is Finch's new prototype design. It's out on one of my clients' place at the moment getting tested. So they've just made an enormous big flap that just has a hydraulic ram and it just lifts up. It's as simple as that. And it doesn't look like it's too bad. It's not too much in the way at all. And they said it's remarkably easy to harvest on. And then inside the bin they've just put 2 bubblers just to pull that grain up, and then a hungry board on this side. So it fills up the bin beautifully. And they've spent a fair bit of time getting that right. There's a few of these on the market now. This is a Daybreak one, just to pull the where you get a bit ridgy, on the edge of the tracks. They ridge up a bit. Just pull that down and just level it all out. This Daybreak, there's also Grizzly, make a really good one. It's got discs on it and a packer bar at the back. And there's another one called a Track Attack. It's pretty similar to that one. This just works. You just pull a set of harrows behind here, but it's pretty aggressive. Some guys have made their own types of things, but like this here, we call them a hedgehog, just a bar with a Holy Rio sticking out of it, just to flick that dirt back in, and that's the sort of job it does. But they often snap all those things off if you've got a bit of hard country. So that's why some of the guys that I've gone to a bit more aggressive ones lately. And I know Grizzly have sold quite a few of these this year, because there's wheel tracks everywhere, as you can imagine. But it's just a good way of just getting those tracks level again. I think we're going to need to use this on slopes as well as flat ground. When it comes to modifying machinery, most people do their own spray rigs. This is a Hardy trailing boom, just cutting and re-welding for $500 or $1,000. They can do it themselves. Most air seeders you can either buy a 3 metre kit for them, like Simplicity or Goral offer just 3 metre kits you can bolt on yourself. Well, most guys just go and cut and shut their own things themselves pretty cheaply. This is an air seeder. We got rid of the Goral on this situation, pulled the air seeder off, turned it around and put it on 2 wheels and dragged it behind the bar. So you can modify yourself this stuff to get it up to speed. Don't need to spend a lot of money. We'll start talking about some of the precision stuff. So the people doing band spraying, we can, you know, a lot of people 50% banning chickpeas nowadays, just reducing chemical costs and doing a better job. Sometimes also doing just inter-row sowing like that. Instead of going right in the middle of the row, just going right beside the row, just to get that plant away from that old stubble row, but just letting it crawl up then, up the... Like chickpeas love sorghum, bean and sorghum, so it's a great way of doing that. Shielded spraying, it's an ideal way of trying to manage, you know, where we're having problems with grass weed control. This is down south, but I know a few blokes around Warren have got these as well. Just shields, just to spray into row. I guess one thing you need to be really aware of, that it's not an excuse to go out when the conditions aren't right. So I know people that have tried to do that and are thinking that it's all contained, or I can go out when you get really bitten. Yeah. So, and the whole shield design is really important. Like some of these probably aren't that crash hot, because if you've got it flat at the back end like that and you're travelling this way, this creates a real vortex and can suck out some of the chemical. You really need to have a good design sometimes to stop that vortex effect. And I've seen a lot of people design their own and get away with it, but something to be aware of, that you've got to get the airflow right, or it can actually, draw out that chemical from underneath. They've got to have a good seal with the ground, obviously, to make sure the chemical doesn't leak out. But yeah, a very versatile option, really good for reducing the amount of atrazine we're using, I think, anyway. Here's some other wild ideas for you. This is now the late Owen Brownlee. Owen passed away, would have been early this year or late last year. He's in Western Australia. He actually created these extra spinners out further, run off hydraulics, obviously, just with the hydraulic motors, just to spin that, because these guys are running 45 footers and stuff in Western Australia. And you can also see the cyclone over here. Just takes the weed seeds out of the chaff. And so that's what it looks like when she's going. So she's flicking a fair bit of straw, gets it spread really well. And then the cyclone's running along there, just dropping out the weed seeds out of the chaff.
Is he still burning that chaff, right?
Some people are burning, and I was at the Sanford conference a couple of weeks ago, and there's a big work being done on burning versus there's another thing called a muncher or something. The seed destructor. So it actually its trails behind the header and takes all the chaff, and then crushes it all up, and then spits it out the back.
So that's just dropping on the wheel track.
And then that all comes up like that. And then he comes along and just with, I think they're Neil Postlethwaite shields. Neil Postlethwaite's a farmer down in Victoria. So you can, he makes them on farm, and I think that's what those yellow ones are. And just sprays those wheel tracks just to get rid of that ryegrass. So they've got a resistant ryegrass problem, and that's the way they're managing ryegrass. So I think we might even need to look at some of these sort of innovative solutions as well with our feather top problem and maybe our fleabane problems, light fluffy seeds and that.